Adam here from the Walzer Automotive Group, and what I want to do today is take you on a test drive. So next to me here, I have a Mazda CX-50 Hybrid. We'll look at the interior, exterior, some of the trim level specifics, then go for a spin around, see what it's like out on the road. Okay, so now we're behind the wheel of the CX-50 Hybrid, and there's a lot of pretty cool equipment in this particular model, as this is the premium. So there's going to be three main trim levels. You have your preferred as kind of the base, the premium, and then you can jump up to the premium plus. Now you unlock a lot of pretty cool stuff for not a ton more as far as the MSRP is concerned, so I think the premium is kind of the sweet spot in the lineup. Now there's a regular CX-50, there's a turbocharged version you can get, and then the hybrid is going to be a little bit different. Now the hybrid is actually an electrified powertrain that's going to be borrowed from Toyota in the Toyota RAV4 model. So if there's one thing we know about Toyota, it's reliability, and I think Mazda's done a great job of integrating that into the CX-50. So let's put it in drive, we'll go for a spin around and touch on some more of those features. And before we get too far, got my phone with me, as we always do, and this particular model has the wireless charging down here, and then we have a 10.3-inch display. That's going to give me wireless Apple CarPlay as well as wireless Android Auto. So if you haven't used that before, if you're driving an older Mazda maybe, that is really cool. It's an easy way to stay safe when you're on the road. You're not messing with your phone, you're not really thinking about it at all because it's charging down here. There's also going to be a couple USB charging ports in the armrest here, which is really nice. But I mean, overall, that makes it pretty simple. Text messaging, Google Maps, Spotify, it's all going to be built right into there. You can actually use it as a touch screen. There's a setting you can go through to change that, or there's a little controller down here, and that makes it even easier to use that screen. Now you can also use some kind of hot buttons down here, or quick keys, which also makes it really easy. Again, the main goal there is just safety on the road. Let's talk about what powers these Mazda CX-50s. So like I said, borrowed from the RAV4 Hybrid, this powertrain is pretty awesome. It's actually going to give you just a little over 200 horsepower, but it's not too slouchy on the road because with that hybrid system, it kind of gives you that instant lift or boost right off the line. Now, as far as fuel economy is concerned, this is going to be an all-wheel drive model, and you're looking at 38 mpg combined. So that's city and highway driving. So if you're looking at other SUVs, maybe it's Toyota, Honda, Nissan, any of those other ones, getting 38 mpg out of a vehicle of this size is pretty awesome. Now, like I said, the all-wheel drive is also in this model. So all Mazda SUVs are going to come standard with all-wheel drive. So no matter which one of the SUVs you're looking at, that is an important thing to know because usually the prices maybe that you see online, whether it's with some of the other import vehicles or anything else, might not show an upcharge for all-wheel drive, where Mazda is going to come standard throughout the lineup for SUVs with that system. So it's really cool. It's great for tackling those Minnesota winters. As we're in fall now, heading towards the winter time, the all-wheel drive is definitely something you're going to want if you're up here in the Midwest. Now, looking at the exterior on the premium model, this one gets a 17-inch wheel, and it's going to be blacked out. So you'll notice the mirror caps as well as the roof rack rails are going to be blacked out. This kind of metallic blue color works really nicely with the black, and you can get some pretty cool colors as well when you're looking at the hybrid. Exclusively, if you bump up to the premium trim, you can get that red leather interior, which is pretty cool. But as far as the interior is concerned, there's a lot of pretty sweet stitching and kind of appointments, and all the materials are really nice in here. It's a very well-appointed cabin. But one thing that is also really nice on this premium model, you get a power liftgate out back. So if you're loading up the kids, maybe going camping for the weekend, you can click the button on the key fob or just press the little button on the back. That's going to open up the power tailgate, and you actually do get quite a bit of storage space back there. Some of the hybrids, you lose some of that kind of storage capabilities, but I didn't really notice that too much in the 50. This one also keeps a spare tire. That's a question we get a lot. Is it a tire mobility kit or a spare tire? Usually when you jump over to hybrids, you don't always keep that spare tire. So having that back there, especially if you're on a road trip and get it flat, that's pretty nice. Then it's also a 60-40 split rear seat. So Mazda adds these little handles on the side. So what's really convenient, you can pull that. You don't have to walk around to the side to pull to release the seat. You can do it from the back if you're loading something up. That's pretty cool. And just one of those things Mazda thinks of that just kind of makes it a little bit easier for day-to-day living. Now, going into the second row of the CX-50, the other big question we get is, what's the difference between the CX-5 and CX-50? Not a ton. Basically, it's going to come down to a little bit different style or a little bit interior volume, but overall, it's going to be pretty close. You'll notice with the CX-50, you get a little less headroom maybe, especially when you add the panoramic sunroof in, but where I'm 6'1", where I was sitting comfortably up here, I didn't really notice a huge amount of headroom loss. There is a little bit difference. If you jump in back and forth between the 5 and the 50, maybe if you got the taller teenagers, you might want to lean towards the CX-5, but overall, I think for the most part, you're not even going to really notice. Then, like I said, you get the panoramic sunroof. So that's a pretty awesome feature that the premium adds in, especially with the all black interior. That really opens it up in here. I love having that in the vehicle. But in the back, if you got the kiddos back there, they're gonna have leg room in the back. If you got them in the car seat still, there's vents, there's USB charging, or USB-C charging rather. So as the kids get a little bit older, they keep all their devices charged up when you're on the go. Into the driver's seat. So let's start with the ride and drive. Now, Mazdas are some of the most fun vehicles, I think, to drive in the kind of crossover, SUV, CUV, mid-size, small sedan. There's so many different options, and Mazda's lineup really does give you a fun mix of stuff. Not to mention, like I said, they're fun to drive. They feel sporty on the road. They're a little bit more firm, but not in a bad way. I think it just kind of gives you a little bit more kind of confidence in the road. And there's a few different drive modes you can select, so you can actually kick it into a power mode, and you'll notice right away, it'll rev up and go. Or there's also a trail mode. So if you are doing a little bit of camping, off-roading, that will help you get the best possible bite and traction, which is pretty cool. But I mean, we're still kind of on the tail end of road construction season here, so the roads are kind of beat up, and if you're hitting like those sewer drains or potholes and stuff, the Mazda just kind of eats it up. Especially with the 17-inch wheel, you get a little bit more sidewall on the tire, and I definitely like that because it does give you, I think, a little bit softer ride when you're on the road. But overall, I mean, the mannerisms of the car, the steering is like the perfect balance of lightness. I mean, they make the Miata. Of course, they make a car that's gonna drive well and just be fun when you're on the road, yet I'm getting 38 miles to the gallon. I wouldn't know what to do with myself if my daily driver got that great of mileage, so that is pretty awesome. But then as far as equipment and creature comforts in here, like I said, the CarPlay is so good and these seats are really comfortable. It's a little bit, again, more of a firm seat, but my side is gonna be power with a lumbar control as well. And the driver and the passenger are also gonna have heated seats that are kind of leather appointed in here with the cool stitching. I mean, there's a lot of pretty cool stuff in here, and you're getting a lot, like I said, going from the preferred up to the premium. But having the heated seats in the wintertime is really cool, and you can also use the Mazda app to add kind of a remote start to the vehicle, because this one does get the push button with the keyless entry exterior, so you can just walk up to the car, hop in, and you're off and running. Now, we also get a digital gauge cluster in here, so there's not a whole lot. Some of the cars get a little confusing with maybe all the information they're giving you. Mazda left it pretty simple. There's just one little info button. You can have just your regular speedo in there, or you can flip to see your average fuel economy, and then again, I can pull up the safety. So I can see someone in my blind spot monitoring, maybe not on the mirror, but just on the digital cluster as well. It's kind of hard to show that when I'm driving, but it is a pretty sweet feature that's gonna be in there. And then the EV mode. So there's actually an EV button here, so I can exclusively switch it into the EV mode, or it will just kind of decide when it's got the charge up or how it's ready to use the EV power. So it's pretty cool, you don't have to think about it. And again, this isn't a plug-in hybrid. This is just a regular hybrid. So it's not something you have to worry about finding a charging station. This is just gonna help you regen and get the best possible fuel economy when it sees fit. But I'm at a stoplight here and it's dead silent in the car. That is definitely the best thing about EVs or also full electric vehicles, is just how quiet they are on the road. Especially these, I think you can run them up to basically highway speeds before the EV will kind of shut off and the gas motor takes back over. But it's just nice, it's convenient. Like I said, getting almost 40 miles per gallon is so cool out of a smaller SUV, and just all the safety and tech in here. Things like the dual zone climate control, the panoramic sunroof. This also has the adaptive cruise control system and some of Mazda's safety features. So if you've never had the adaptive cruise and you're going up to a cabin weekend, 2.5 hours on the road, you can basically set it when you leave home and barely even think about it. It is such a cool feature, and I love having that when you're behind the wheel. But I mean, even the 12-speaker Bose sound system in here is awesome. I had my phone paired up in about a minute. I was playing some tunes earlier. It sounds so good in here. And if you're listening to podcasts, it's crystal clear. You got the little speakers, the tweeters up above. I mean, there's a lot to like here. Now, we do have to touch on pricing. So for 2026, pricing is going to start around the $36,000 price range. This MSRP bumps up just a little over $3,000, so we're around the $39,000 price range. But if you're looking at the average new car price in the US, it's over $49,000. So we're coming in 10 grand under that, yet we're getting heated leather appointed seats, wireless CarPlay, panoramic sunroof, all the tech and safety you'd ever need. I mean, there's a lot to like on these CX-50 hybrids. I think unless you want that little bit of extra kind of get up and go that the CX-50 Turbo can get, you're losing a lot of fuel economy that way. And if that's something that's important to you, I think the hybrid might be a better option. Now, yes, it will carry a little bit higher of a price tag compared to the regular CX-50s, but if you plan on keeping this car long term, that's definitely something that can kind of help you out there. Not to mention, with Walser, we offer an 8-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. So if you plan on being on the road a lot, we've pretty much got your back. You can do a lot of driving for many years to come and not really think about it. But overall, I like the exterior styling. I like the kind of outdoorsy vibe and feel of it. If you're putting the bikes up on top, like I said, going to the cabin, you got the kayaks, this can kind of get it all done, and it doesn't have a really high ground clearance. So you're not reaching really high to get to that roof box, maybe like some of the Subarus or some of the Toyota vehicles. So there's just, like I said, a lot to like about these CX-50s, and I definitely think one to add to the list to come out, take for a spin, see what you think. Now, that was just a quick look and drive at this CX-50 hybrid. Now, if you have any other questions, you'd like to schedule a test drive, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by anytime. We'd be more than happy to help. Thanks again for watching.